Do you know the U.S. has made a plan to cause the global economic crisis? The U.S. is about to lose its dollar hegemony. And before going, it has decided to set a gamble that will make everyone lose their money. The U.S. has very beautifully planned a way to welcome the largest economic crisis. At any point, if you ever thought that the U.S. is not selfish, then watch this video to know the severity of the U.S.'s selfish plans, the plan that will kill its democracy. But what plan has the U.S. recently made? Let's uncover the U.S.'s plan that it made to shake the global economy. Welcome back to another exciting episode of our channel. Innovation Diary brings you China's innovation stories, projects, and growing influence in different parts of the world. If you are new to the channel and enjoy learning about fast-paced modernity, especially China's development and growing power, you will find our videos intriguing. In this video, we will discuss the plan the U.S. has made to make all nations bankrupt. We will also talk about China's importance in this equation. Watch the video until the end to know if the U.S. can save its dollar hegemony. Let's get started. The U.S. economy is in a serious crisis. Many factors have combined all together and have overwhelmed the U.S. government. The country has failed to find a way to get out of this crisis easily. It seems like the world's largest economy is about to lose its hegemony, and this would result in losing the power forever. The U.S. has tried hard to find ways out of the circus, but to know how problematic the situation is for the U.S., it is necessary to know what problem the U.S. is facing. One of the huge threats to the U.S. economy is China. China is currently replacing the U.S. in every sector the U.S. once mastered. And one of the most important titles the U.S. is losing is the title of the world's largest economy. China is putting efforts into changing the U.S. economy's fate. And so far, China has been successful. And according to many, China is about to become the world's largest economy by 2025. It has created an environment that has made all the investors worldwide lose trust in the U.S. dollar. Firstly, China has decreased the trade in dollars. The currency that is used as the international trade currency becomes globally dominant, and China is changing it. China is using other currencies, including yuan, to replace the U.S. dollar. The oil trade is happening in other currencies except dollars, and this has already decreased the dollar's dominance. Secondly, the investors have lost their trust in dollars. China has created a tradition of investing in gold as it is far more reliable than the U.S. dollar. BRICS is also launching a new currency backed by gold that will allow investors to put their money safely into it. And in foreign policy, BRICS currency can shake the dollar's dominance. That's the reason why the U.S. dollar has become less important. Apart from that, the U.S. is also under a debt crisis. Its debt has hit its ceiling, and the Congress is not willing to increase the debt ceiling limit. Even if the debt ceiling is increased, the U.S.'s increasing spending makes it more difficult for the government to find ways to make the dollar more reliable. Huge investors are no longer investing in the dollar. China also once used to invest in dollar treasuries, but all the nations, including China, are flooding the dollars back into the market, making it less important. And this simply explains that the dollar hegemony is about to end. But will the U.S. let it happen so easily? The U.S. always has some ways to play safe. And when the U.S. tries to protect itself, it ends up affecting the entire world. Just to add here, the U.S. dollar has not completely lost its hegemony yet. But according to many, it is very close to it. It is impossible for the U.S. now to not lose its dominance. But before losing all the power, the U.S. has once again thought of a way to use its power. The U.S. is once again putting its hands into a gamble. And this gamble will either make the U.S. lose everything, or it will make the entire world fall into an economic crisis. But what is the U.S. doing, and how will it impact the entire world's economy? Before we continue further, tell us, are you loving the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos about China's development, power, and influence on the world. Let's continue now. In a Federal Reserve meeting, the U.S. decided to increase the interest rates. The interest rates have reached their maximum, and the step is taken to gain more investors. In simple words, the yield of U.S. treasuries has increased, and the people who will buy these treasuries will get more profit. Many nations have invested in the U.S. treasuries, but most of them are flooding dollars back into the market. So to stop this, the U.S. has increased the interest rates. The U.S. has assumed that people will stop thrashing the U.S. dollars into the market and will hold on to it. And this will give the U.S. dollar a boost, and once again the U.S. will win its dominance back. But things aren't that simple. Things don't work like this in the linear graph. There are many other factors that the U.S. forgets to consider. Will the investors believe in this U.S. plan? And is this plan foolproof? And what will happen if the people fall for the increased interest rates? The U.S. wants the people to fall for the interest rates, but that does not mean the investors will get more yield. The U.S. has increased the interest rate almost artificially. It will borrow more loans to pay the increased amount. And when it will not have any money to pay, the U.S. would go bankrupt. But the catch here is the U.S. will not be the only one to go bankrupt. All the nations that will invest in the U.S. Treasuries after the announcement of increased interest rates will also go bankrupt. The plan is to make the U.S.'s economic crisis the entire world's crisis, because if the U.S. alone will fall into this, its name will be removed from the list of important nations. And if every nation falls into this, there is a high chance the U.S. would find a way to again come out. But it will come out of the crisis alone. The nations that will invest their money will be the actual victims. The U.S. made this plan so the entire world became a victim. But the question is, will the nations fall for this plan? In the 2008 market crash, the entire world became the victim, and the same thing will happen if the investors fall into the U.S.'s trap. This will make everyone face the loss. This plan shows how the U.S. uses its power. In times when the U.S. is about to lose its power, it is still trying its best to use the power left with all its potential. This sure was an amazing plan if the world didn't know anything about money. If the U.S. was dealing with immature investors, then they might fall into the U.S. trap, and once again, a global crisis would be waiting for us. But people have learned from the crisis. They know what exactly not to do. And there is no way an educated investor will put his money into the U.S. asserts. No one would want the 2008 crisis, called the Great Recession according to the History Channel, to ever come back. The options are either to entirely lose your money or see the U.S. lose its value. And no one would like to lose their money because of the U.S. Many financial experts are criticizing the U.S. for making these decisions, because even if they know that no one would fall into this trap, they are amazed at the U.S.'s selfishness. At this time, instead of asking for help from other countries and trying ways to fix the problem in the right way, the U.S. decided to make a gamble in which the entire world will lose its money. This proves how selfish the U.S. is and what approach it uses when dealing with problems. Other nations have also been under crisis, but no one has ever decided to do the same that the U.S. is doing. But let's assume for a moment that investors have fallen into this trap. What if they start investing more, and the people who own the U.S. Treasury hold on to it? And let's assume the entire world's economy faces a crisis. What will happen after that? What has the U.S. thought? How will it protect its hegemony? Even if all the nations invest, China is never doing that. And while the entire world will be in crisis, China will become the world's leading economy. China will replace the U.S. as soon as it goes bankrupt. And even after many years, it will be impossible for the U.S. to replace China. Global dominance is not something nations can easily exchange. China took many years to become a candidate for this dominance. And once the U.S. will lose, it will also take decades for the U.S. to ever get it back. So the moral of the story is, it does not matter what the U.S. does, there is no way it would be able to maintain its hegemony. This is the time for the investors to make the right decision and not fall into the U.S. trap. Do you think the investors will fall into the U.S. trap? Will any investor make the mistake of trusting the U.S. again? Do you think the nations are smart enough to not hold on to the U.S. treasuries? Let us know in the comments section. Can anything stop from China becoming the world's first largest economy? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence over the world. Until the next video, stay tuned.